So when you're driving down the road and you see this row of bins out there that have become so common on the landscape, and you think, man, there's got to be $3 or $4 million worth of grain in those bins. That's the problem. There is, but that $1 million difference is what's so hard to know. And that's what VeriGrain is all about, solving that problem. So the issue with how do we get that additional $1 million out is you got to know with some accuracy the quality and the quantity of the grain. And most growers don't know that. And so that's where the problem is. And it also causes a problem for processors and buyers because they're not certain what they're buying and they don't have traceability. Enter VeriGrain and 12 years of research. So what we've developed is a product which does a couple of things. And first and foremost, it helps the grower understand with accuracy the quality, the quantity of what they have stored on their farm. So it's marvelous for the buyers, have certainty what they're getting, and they've got traceability. So the big win here is that the growers, first of all, can get optimal value for their grain because they can leverage that knowledge. But it's also a win for the buyers because they're getting what they bought, and it means they can operate more efficiently, and they've got traceability. Back to the growers for a moment. The other issue is there's still a lot of spoilage happening, which just doesn't need to be happening. So we're able to identify that and stop those losses. So how do we do it? We have start with a great data management platform which uses this marvelous device to allow growers to input information and interact with that information and share that information easily with their buyers and their analytics labs. But the other piece that really makes VeriGrain quite unique on the planet is that we have some hardware which generates the data for that. And so one of the fundamental activities to determine grain quality is you've got to get a sample of the grain, and it needs to be representative and it needs to be homogeneous. And what I mean by that is when you're trying to represent let's say a 10,000 bushel bin of grain, you need to take a sample of that at a timed or a controlled interval. Okay, so now you have your primary sample, which is representative. Well, that's great, but it can also vary throughout the pail or the primary sample. So you need to be able to get that homogeneous, and we have a device which you pour the pail through, and it makes the sample gets all mixed up. It's homogeneous, and so the 4 subsamples or the bags that you get out of that, which you share with your grain lab or your grain buyers, they're all identical. So everyone is looking at and getting an analysis of the same product. And that's ultimately the key thing that everyone's looking for, is to be able to get that analysis, and so you can understand what are the qualities of this grain. In our Canadian way of doing things, we do a lot of very subjective grain grading. And so, for example, you can have say a number 2 grain, but it's got good protein. So the protein then becomes the value driver. So it's really important to know with great accuracy what those qualities are in the grain. And that's what we do, and that's what makes us very unique. I'm here today. We're in the process of finishing up a $2.4 million late seed round. We've got $500,000 left to go. We'd love to talk to anyone that is interested in that. Also, certainly looking for partners. We're very much on the commercialization trail. We're getting a great reception. We just, by the way, won another great award at took the top innovation product again at the Canada's Farm show in Regina. So if any of this is of interest, I'd look forward to seeing you afterwards. Thanks.